A man walks into a Quiznos in Whittier, California. He orders a soft drink. He chats with the manager. He's calm, almost too calm. Then he walks into the bathroom, and he shoots himself 3 times in the chest. His name was Bhupinder Baber. He was a Quiznos franchise owner. And the note they found on his computer said this: "Quiznos has killed me, destroyed my life, destroyed my family life for the past 7 years." That was November 2006. What happened next would become one of the most catastrophic collapses in the history of American fast food. Let's go back to the beginning. Denver, Colorado. A chef named Jimmy Lambatos and his business partner, Todd Disner, opened a small sandwich shop. Nothing fancy, no marketing budget, no celebrity investors. Just one idea nobody else was doing. They toasted every sandwich. That's it. And it worked. By 1983, they're franchising. By 1987, 12 locations. Small, regional, quietly growing. Then a 23-year-old named Rick Shaden walks in, opens his own franchise in Boulder, and falls in love with the concept. In 1991, he buys the entire company with his father Richard, a handful of stores, and one big idea. Within 4 years, Quiznos hits 103 locations. By 1997, it's the 3rd largest submarine sandwich franchise in the world. And by the early 2000s, nearly 5,000 locations. Loyal customers. A brand that actually stood for something. Quality, heat, real flavor. Subway was watching, and they were nervous. But here's what that story never tells you. At the exact same moment Quiznos was hitting its peak, something was being built inside the company that would guarantee its destruction. 3 things would eventually kill Quiznos. Most people only know one. The trap. Here's how Quiznos actually made its money. And this is the part most videos skip. Franchisees didn't just pay a royalty. They were forced to buy everything. Food, supplies, equipment, exclusively from Quiznos-approved vendors. Vendors that Quiznos controlled. Every roll of paper towels, every slice of cheese, every container of dressing. Quiznos took a cut every single time. The franchise owner wasn't selling sandwiches to customers. They were selling revenue to corporate. The average Quiznos location pulled in around $400,000 a year. That sounds decent, but after supplies, royalties, rent, and fees, many owners were barely breaking even. Some were losing money every month, month after month. You signed up thinking you were building something for your family. What you were actually doing was keeping Rick Shaden's machine running, and the owners started to figure it out. But here's where it gets worse, because thing number 2 didn't come from a boardroom. It came from a bathroom in Whittier, California. The man who tried to fight back, Bhupinder Baber, had drained his life savings to open 2 Quiznos locations in Long Beach back in 1998. 7 years. Every rule followed, every payment made. Then Quiznos allowed another franchise to open right inside his territory, something he says he was promised would never happen. His sales dropped. He asked corporate for help. Corporate didn't respond. So Baber did something brave. He formed the Quiznos Franchisee Association, a group where owners could fight back together. Quiznos' response was immediate. They terminated both of his franchises. Failed inspections, they said. Retaliation, he said. He took them to court. The legal battle lasted over a year. It cost him more than $100,000 in fees he didn't have. In October 2005, a court ruled his case had to be arbitrated in Denver, a city he couldn't afford to travel to, while still trying to keep whatever was left of his life together. A month later, he walked into that Quiznos in Whittier. He ordered a soft drink, chatted with the manager, then walked into the bathroom. His note called it a sacrifice. He asked for a criminal investigation into the company. And what Quiznos did next, the moment his suicide note went public, is the part of this story that never gets told. Another franchisee group, the Toasted Subs Franchisee Association, posted Baber's note online to raise money for his family. Quiznos' response? They terminated the franchise agreement of every single board member of that group. They punished grieving people for mourning publicly. A federal judge in Colorado stepped in with a restraining order. That decision blew up in Quiznos' face. The lawsuits multiplied. By 2010, the company was fighting a class action suit covering nearly 10,000 current and former franchisees. The settlements totaled over $300 million. $300 million they didn't have. But they were also about to lose a war they'd already started with the one company they couldn't afford to fight. Subway saw the blood in the water. While Quiznos was bleeding out from lawsuits, Subway made 2 moves that were almost surgical. First, in 2005, Subway put toasters in every one of its locations. The one thing that made Quiznos special, gone overnight. Then in 2008, Subway launched the $5 footlong. You know the jingle, everyone does. Quiznos, buried in debt and desperate, tried to fight back with free sandwich coupons. They sent them out nationwide. Didn't warn franchisees first. So when customers showed up expecting a free sub, owners either ate the cost themselves or turned customers away angry. Neither option was good. Both happened constantly. and customers watched it all unfold in real time. Then 2009 hit, the Great Recession. Federal data showed restaurant sales fell for the first time in decades. For franchisees already running on fumes, it was the end. 700 locations closed in 2009 alone, 800 more in 2010. Quiznos equipment started showing up on Craigslist. Ovens, refrigerators, sandwich cases, for pennies on the dollar. An empire, sold for parts. Here's the number. March 14, 2014. Quiznos files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Total debt owed to creditors, $875 million. $875 million. For a toasted sandwich company that started in a strip mall in Denver, between 2007 and 2017, Quiznos went from 4,700 U.S. locations to fewer than 400. Restaurant Business Online, one of the most respected trade publications in the industry, said they could find no other example of a chain that had grown to that size and shrunk that much, that fast, ever. The single biggest restaurant collapse in American history at that scale. And the people who paid for it weren't executives. They weren't investors. They were people like Bhupinder Babar, people who emptied their savings accounts, took out second mortgages, told their kids this was going to work. The International Franchise Association started using Quiznos in training seminars as a cautionary tale. What happens when a franchisor decides operators are a revenue source rather than partners? And the most recognizable thing the brand left behind? The Sponge Monkeys, those bizarre rat-faced creatures from the 2004 ad campaign that Business Insider ranked one of the 10 worst ad campaigns in history. A sandwich empire that built 5,000 locations across America. Its most lasting legacy is a creepy internet meme. So, can it come back? Here's the honest answer. Maybe, but it's going to have to earn it. In 2018, a private investment group called High Bluff Capital Partners, operating through Rego Restaurant Group, bought what was left of the company. At that point, there were around 800 locations globally. By the end of 2024, 148 in the United States, 183 international, 331 total worldwide. That's not a comeback, not yet. But here's what's actually different this time, and it's worth paying attention to. Instead of trying to beat Subway head-to-head in strip mall real estate, a fight they already lost, they're embedding inside pump and pantry convenience stores through a deal with a company called Bosselman Enterprises. It's a fundamentally different play. Lower build-out costs, captive road trip customers, no standalone lease to kill them when sales dip. And in 2025, they launched something called The Cube, a modular freestanding drive-through format, self-serving food lockers, mobile ordering integration. New locations already announced for 2026. CEO Tim Casey says Quiznos is going back to being a disruptor. New equipment, streamlined menus, a franchise model specifically redesigned so owners can actually make money. That last part is the only one that actually matters. Because if the economic trap is still there, if owners are still subsidizing corporate while running their own stores into the ground, the name on the sign won't save anyone. The toasted submarket is alive. Firehouse Subs built a real business on it. Jersey Mike's is growing fast. There is room for a brand that does this right. But Quiznos doesn't get a third chance. And that brings us back to Bhupinder Babar. He walked into that Quiznos in Whittier because the company he'd spent 7 years building a life inside had taken everything from him and then moved the courtroom to a city he couldn't reach. The question for Quiznos in 2026 isn't whether they can open new locations. It's whether anyone who signs their name on that franchise agreement can actually trust the company holding the other end of the contract. Because the sandwich was never the problem. It was always who was running the machine. Quiznos is one of the most extreme examples of a company that destroyed itself and somehow still hasn't fully died. Whether that's a comeback story or just a slow ending, we'll find out. If you want to go deeper on brands like this, what really happened behind the press releases and Wikipedia summaries, subscribe if you want this every week. No fluff, just the real story.